$5 billion spent, zero successful missions. While SpaceX's Dragon rockets astronauts to space, NASA's Dream Chaser sits grounded. 4 years behind schedule? What went so wrong? How did this sleek spaceplane become NASA's biggest failure while Dragon dominates the skies? The answer reveals everything about why SpaceX is crushing the competition. Let's dive right in. The billion-dollar betrayal. NASA made a choice in 2014, and it destroyed everything. They had SpaceX sitting right there, proven, reliable, ready to dominate space, but instead, they decided to play it safe. Spread the money around, give Boeing $4.2 billion, hand Sierra Space their Dream Chaser contract. The result? Catastrophic failure. Boeing's Starliner has delivered exactly 0 successful crew missions, 0. After burning through nearly $5 billion of your tax dollars, Dream Chaser was supposed to launch in 2021. It's now 2025, and it's still sitting in a warehouse collecting dust. But SpaceX, 10 perfect crew missions, 10 flawless flights, while NASA's billion-dollar bets crumble to pieces. What kind of incompetence leads to this disaster? The answer will shock you. When dreams turn into nightmares, Dream Chaser looked like the future. Sleek wings, runway landings, the space shuttle's sexy younger brother. Everyone was excited. The media loved it. NASA bragged about revolutionary technology. Then reality hit like a freight train. Safety tests? Failed. Certification requirements? Delayed. Again, and again, and again. Every milestone became a new excuse. Every deadline became another broken promise. But here's the part that'll make your blood boil. United Launch Alliance, the company supposed to launch Dream Chaser, literally kicked it off their rocket. For what? A dummy payload. They prioritized launching a chunk of metal over an actual spacecraft that cost billions to develop. Can you feel the incompetence? It gets worse. The $5 billion scandal. Let's talk numbers, because these will make you sick. NASA threw $4.2 billion at Boeing's Starliner. What did America get? A spacecraft that explodes its own thrusters. Software so buggy it can't dock with the space station. Propulsion systems that fail during critical moments. It's like paying Ferrari prices for a car that won't start. Meanwhile, SpaceX developed Dragon for a fraction of that cost. And it works. Every single time. The contrast is devastating. While Boeing burns taxpayer money, SpaceX revolutionizes space travel. While Dream Chaser collects dust, Dragon carries astronauts safely to orbit. This isn't just waste, it's sabotage of America's space program. Studies reveal that massive tech projects run 45% over budget, while delivering 56% less value than promised. NASA's contractors? They're shattering those records in the worst possible way. But there's something even more sinister happening here. The deadly technical truth dream. Chaser's heat shield technology sounds impressive. 2,000 tiles instead of the shuttle's 24,000. Silicon carbide materials. Withstands 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Here's the terrifying reality. It's all untested. Those fancy tiles have never survived actual re-entry. The shuttle's old tiles? They had decades of proven flight data. Thousands of successful missions. Dream Chaser's revolutionary materials? Pure theory. One crack, one failure. One tile comes loose during re-entry, and the spacecraft becomes a fireball streaking across the sky. Would you trust your life to experimental technology that's never been proven? NASA apparently would. SpaceX took the opposite approach. Dragon's heat shield isn't fancy, but it's bulletproof. Tested through dozens of missions, proven reliable under the most extreme conditions. Boring technology that saves lives versus exciting technology that kills astronauts? Which would you choose? The secret that changes everything. NASA engineers are whispering something behind closed doors, something that terrifies them. Dream Chaser's runway landing system, the feature everyone celebrates, might be its fatal flaw. Ocean splashdowns forgive mistakes. Miss your target by 5 miles? No problem. Dragon drops safely into the water. Crew survives. Mission success. Runway landings. You get one chance. One. Miss that precise approach and you're looking at a catastrophic crash at 200 miles per hour. Remember Columbia? 7 astronauts died because a piece of foam damaged the shuttle's heat shield. Dream Chaser uses the same risky re-entry profile, the same deadly precision requirements. Dragon eliminates that risk entirely. It splashes down where there's room for error, where human mistakes don't equal human deaths. Why is NASA gambling with astronaut lives for a runway landing photo op? The political corruption exposed. Here's the bombshell that explains everything. NASA's multiple provider strategy isn't about safety, it's about politics, pure and simple. Congress demands space contracts get spread across different states. More states involved equals more senators supporting NASA's budget. Boeing has facilities everywhere. Sierra Space spans the country. SpaceX, concentrated in just 2 states. Which approach gets political protection? Your tax dollars aren't funding the best technology. They're funding political favors. NASA keeps throwing money at failing programs because it keeps politicians happy, not because it advances space exploration. Recent tensions between political leaders and Elon Musk have NASA panicking. What if SpaceX gets shut down? What if political pressure kills their only reliable option? This fear drives their desperate funding of alternatives that don't work. The innovation trap. Dream Chaser's complexity is killing it. Winged re-entry, precise aerodynamics, runway approach systems, heat shield integration, landing gear deployment. Every component adds another failure point. SpaceX's Dragon? It's basically a sophisticated capsule, simple, reliable, fewer things to break. Sierra Space brags about partnerships with Oak Ridge National Laboratory, advanced materials, dual-layer protection, Mach 17 capabilities. It sounds incredible, but it's never been tested in real space conditions. SpaceX has flown their boring heat shield design dozens of times. It's not cutting edge, but it keeps astronauts alive. Would you rather fly on proven technology or become the test pilot for experimental systems that might kill you? America's space future hangs in the balance. Every day Dream Chaser sits grounded. The meter keeps running. Storage costs, maintenance fees, engineering salaries. NASA burns money on a $5 billion investment producing 0 results. SpaceX revolutionizes space access, cuts launch costs by 90%, plans Mars missions, makes space routine while NASA's contractors struggle with basic orbital mechanics. This is about more than money. It's about opportunity cost. Those billions could fund Mars exploration, asteroid mining, revolutionary propulsion systems. Instead, they're locked in failed programs that can't even reach orbit. The tragedy? NASA's own engineers see this disaster unfolding. They watch SpaceX succeed while their other contractors fail spectacularly. But bureaucracy and politics keep the zombie programs alive. China watches America waste billions on failure. Russia laughs at our incompetence. Meanwhile, SpaceX single-handedly maintains America's space dominance. How much longer can this continue? How many more billions will NASA burn before admitting the obvious truth? SpaceX isn't just better than the competition. There is no competition. Dragon dominates because it works. Dream Chaser fails because it doesn't. The choice facing NASA is simple. Double down on proven success or keep gambling billions on guaranteed failure. Which path will they choose? The answer determines America's future in space. So here's the brutal truth. NASA gambled $5 billion on failure. While SpaceX revolutionized space travel, Dream Chaser collected dust. Boeing Starliner exploded budgets instead of reaching orbit. Political games trumped proven technology. But this raises a bigger question. What happens when politics controls space exploration instead of innovation? SpaceX dominates because they focus on results, not contracts. They prove technology works before claiming success. Maybe that's the lesson NASA needs to learn. The space race isn't over, it's just getting started. And the winners won't be decided by congressional votes. They'll be decided by who actually delivers. What do you think? Should NASA double down on SpaceX or keep funding these billion-dollar experiments? Drop your thoughts below. And if you want the inside story on how SpaceX is planning to colonize Mars, while NASA struggles with basic orbital missions, that's our next deep dive. Subscribe to Space Corps for the space stories they don't want you to know. Elon Musk just admitted America lost the moon race to China. Yes, you heard that right. While NASA's budget got cut 25%, China quietly launched Chang missions that are already operating on the moon. They're not just planning, they're doing it. Here's what's really happening. China will land astronauts on the moon before 2030. America? We can't even get our Artemis program off the ground. But why does this matter? The moon holds helium-3 worth trillions and rare metals that could change everything. Whoever gets there first wins the future. So how did we fall so far behind? And can we catch up? Let's dive right in. The secret behind Kennedy's moon promise. The truth about America's moon landing will shock you. Kennedy never wanted to go to the moon. Internal White House documents, declassified decades later, reveal he called the Apollo program expensive as hell. He tried to cancel it multiple times. So why did we go? Because America was losing badly. The Soviets had Sputnik. They had the first human in space. They were winning every single milestone. Kennedy's moon speech wasn't about exploration. It was pure desperation. The price tag was insane. $25 billion in 1960s money. That's $200 billion today. At its peak, NASA consumed 5% of the entire federal budget. 5%. If NASA got that same percentage today, their budget would be $300 billion annually. Instead, they get less than $25 billion. But here's what nobody tells you about that moment we won the space race. The day America lost interest. July 20th, 1969. Armstrong steps on the moon. America celebrates worldwide. Then something catastrophic happened. Within months, public support collapsed. Americans were dying in Vietnam. Cities were burning. Poverty was everywhere. People started asking the obvious question: why spend billions on space when we have problems here? Congress began slashing NASA's budget immediately. By 1975, the agency that put humans on the moon was reduced to launching weather satellites. The mighty Saturn V rocket, the most powerful machine ever built, was retired after just 13 flights. Think about this for a moment. We built a rocket that could send 3 men to the moon, used it successfully multiple times, then threw it away. The blueprints, the manufacturing knowledge, the entire supply chain, gone. It's like building the world's fastest race car, winning the championship, then burning down the factory because the race was over. But someone was watching, someone who learned from our mistake. China. China's brilliant 50-year strategy. While America treated the moon landing as a publicity stunt, China saw something different. They understood a truth we completely missed. Whoever controls space controls the future. In the 1970s, when America was dismantling its moon program, China quietly began their own, not with fanfare or bold speeches, with methodical, long-term planning. Here's their genius approach. Instead of rushing to match Apollo, they built step by step. First, master Earth orbit, then lunar orbit, then robotic moon landings. Each mission builds on the last. Look at their track record. Chang'e 1 in 2007, lunar orbit success. Chang'e 3 in 2013, first soft moon landing in 37 years. Chang'e 4 in 2019, first landing on the moon's far side ever. Chang'e 5 in 2020, successful sample return. Notice the pattern? They're not just visiting the moon, they're learning how to live there. But here's what makes China's approach absolutely terrifying for America. While NASA's goals change with every president, China's space program spans decades. Their current plan runs through 2030, with clear milestones they actually hit. And their secret weapon? Money. Massive amounts of it. The hidden truth about China's real budget. China officially spends $8 billion annually on space. That's less than half of NASA's budget, so how are they winning? Because that $8 billion is just what they admit to. China's space program is run by the military. The same massive defense budget that funds the world's largest army also funds their rockets. When they launch a military satellite, Is that defense spending or space spending? When they test dual-use technology, which budget does it come from? Western analysts estimate China's real space spending could be 20 to 30 billion annually, maybe more. They simply don't have to tell anyone. But money alone doesn't explain their success. There's something else, something that makes their approach fundamentally different from ours. Something America lost decades ago. The one advantage that changes everything. Here's a question that should terrify every American. How many times has NASA's mission changed in the last 20 years? Bush wanted to go back to the moon by 2020. Obama canceled that, focused on asteroids instead. Trump revived the moon plan with Artemis. Biden kept Artemis but changed the timeline. Now Trump's back,